They say we're never truly alone, that in the dead of night, when our eyes are shut, something watches. I never believed it, until I found a photo of myself sleeping. I remember the exact night it happened. It was a Thursday, ordinary, uneventful, the kind of night where nothing stands out, until something does. I was scrolling through my phone, mindlessly flipping between apps. My gallery had a notification, one new image. That stopped me. I hadn't taken any pictures that day. Curious, I opened it, and my blood ran cold. It was me lying in my bed, fast asleep. The angle, it was from the foot of the bed, as if someone had stood right there and snapped it. At first, I froze. My heart pounded against my chest, a mix of confusion and fear. The photo was too clear, too real. I pinched the screen to zoom in. The blanket was pulled up to my shoulders, my hair messy, my chest rising and falling. That wasn't possible. I live alone. The door had been locked all night. I sat there staring at the picture, goosebumps prickling up my arms. I kept telling myself, it's a glitch, a prank, some stupid app thing. But deep down, I already knew. Someone or something had been inside my room. The silence in my apartment grew heavier. The shadows in the corners seemed darker, thicker. I checked my front door. Still locked windows, latched, no signs of a break-in, but the photo proved otherwise. I deleted it, as if that would erase the reality of it. But my hands shook as I set the phone down. I couldn't sleep that night. Every creak in the walls felt like footsteps. Every shadow looked like someone watching. By 3 a.m., exhaustion pulled me under. I remember thinking, if I just sleep, this will all feel stupid in the morning. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wouldn't be the only one in that room, and that was just the beginning. The next morning, I told myself it was a dream, some glitch. Maybe I accidentally hit the timer and forgot. That's what I kept repeating, over and over like a mantra, but it didn't make sense. The photo had been taken from the foot of the bed. I'd never left my phone there. Still, denial is easier than fear. So I forced myself through the motions of the day, coffee shower work. Pretend normal, but something wasn't normal. When I got back that evening, the air in my apartment felt wrong, like when you walk into a room where someone's just been arguing. You can't see it, but you feel it. I checked my front door. Still locked. Windows? Still shut. I even laughed out loud, nervously, saying, "See? Nothing's wrong. You're just freaking yourself out." But I noticed something strange. The blanket on my bed was folded differently, not thrown, not messy, folded. I don't fold my blanket. And on the nightstand, my phone was charging. I hadn't left it there. For a moment, I just stared at it. My chest tightened, heart racing. I whispered to myself, maybe I just forgot. But deep down, I knew I hadn't. That night, I tried to ignore it. Put on music, scrolled online until my eyes burned, anything to avoid thinking about the photo. By midnight, exhaustion hit again. I left the light on, convinced it would keep me safe. But when I woke the next morning, the light was off, and on my phone, waiting for me, was another photo. This time my eyes were half open. The second photo wouldn't leave my head, my eyes. Half open, unfocused, but aware. It didn't feel like I was asleep. It felt like I was watching. I deleted it immediately. I told myself, if it's gone, it doesn't exist. But I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was there with me. That night, I decided to test it. I locked the door, triple-checked the windows, set my phone facing the ceiling, camera up, recording video this time. If anyone came in, I'd know. I lay in bed, too scared to close my eyes. Every sound became amplified. The hum of the fridge, pipes groaning, the wind against the glass. Hours crawled by, and then I heard it, a creak, soft. From inside my room, I froze, holding my breath. Slowly, I turned my head toward the door. Nothing. But the sound, it came from closer. I didn't move, didn't blink. And then, another sound, a whisper, too soft to make out words, but close, too close, like someone crouched beside me. I wanted to run, to scream, but my body wouldn't obey. I just lay there, eyes wide open in the dark. At some point, exhaustion took me. When I woke, the sun was already bleeding through the blinds. I grabbed my phone instantly, heart pounding. The recording was still running. I hit play, fast-forwarding through hours of static silence until movement, the blanket shifting, but I hadn't moved. Then a shadow, tall, thin, passing across the camera for just a second, and finally, a face, close to the lens, smiling. The video cut off there, and on my phone's gallery, there was a third photo, me in bed, eyes wide open, staring at the camera. I didn't go to work the next day. How could I? I sat at my kitchen table, staring at my phone, at that photo, my face, my body, my bed, my eyes wide open, staring right into the camera. Yet I had no memory of it. I wanted answers. So I searched my apartment, every inch, closets, cabinets, even under the bed, nothing. But when I opened the fridge, my blood ran cold. Food was missing, not leftovers I'd forgotten, not snacks I might have eaten late at night. Whole items, a pack of deli meat, a jar of pickles, half a carton of eggs. I knew I hadn't touched them. My stomach twisted. Was someone breaking in just to watch me sleep? I checked the locks again. Solid windows shut tight, no signs of forced entry. But when I walked back into the living room, something felt wrong. My couch pillows. They weren't where I left them, slightly shifted, as if someone had sat there. I tried to calm down, told myself I was paranoid. But then I noticed the dust. On top of the bookshelf, where it should have been undisturbed, there was a streak, a finger trail, fresh, someone had touched it, and then I looked up. The vent, the one above the hallway, screws missing, metal bent slightly outward. It wasn't just a vent, it was an entrance. I dragged a chair beneath it, heart hammering, and peered inside. Pitch black. But I swear, I felt air. Breathing. I stumbled back, nearly falling off the chair. My hands shook as I slammed the vent shut, jamming a broom handle through the grate. Someone was in my apartment, not breaking in, living here, with me, watching me. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, every nerve in my body strung tight, and then I heard it. A sound I'll never forget, crawling, a faint shuffling, metal creaking. Coming from the vents above me, at first I told myself it was just the pipes, just the building settling, but then the sound moved from one vent to another, as if something, or someone, was crawling through them. I sat up, heart pounding, straining to listen, and then it stopped. The silence was worse than the sound. I tried to convince myself it was in my head, but then, from directly above me, soft, deliberate, breathing, I froze. I didn't move. I didn't even blink. Every instinct told me not to let it know that I knew. Slowly, I slid out of bed. My feet hit the cold floor. I backed toward the door, eyes locked on the vent above. The breathing stopped. But then, tap, 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 something scratched against the metal. I ran. I didn't care about answers anymore. I just wanted out. I spent the night in my car, parked 2 blocks away, watching my dark apartment from a distance. The lights inside flickered on, not all at once, room by room, as if whoever was inside was searching for me. I thought about calling the cops, but what would I even say? That there's something crawling in my vents? They'd laugh, or worse, take me in for a psych eval. By morning, I was shaking from exhaustion. My car windows fogged up from my breath, and the street was eerily quiet. I told myself I had to go back, at least for clothes, for my laptop, something normal to anchor me. So, with the sun barely rising, I forced myself to return. The front door was locked, just as I'd left it. That gave me a moment of comfort, until I realized something. The chain on the inside was unlatched. I always locked the chain. Always, my stomach dropped. I stepped inside. The air smelled stale, heavy, like someone had been in there for hours. My bed looked wrong. The sheets weren't just messy, they were pulled back, like someone had slid under them after I left. I told myself not to look, but my eyes scanned the room anyway. And that's when I saw it, on my nightstand, another photo. This one was different. It wasn't me sleeping. It was me standing at the window, taken from behind me. I dropped it. My legs went weak. I don't even remember walking to the kitchen, but suddenly I was there, searching, trembling, every cupboard, every cabinet, every closet. I tore through them. Nothing. But then, the hall closet, the one I barely used, when I opened the door, a rush of stale air hit me. There at the back wall, behind coats and boxes, was a panel. A panel I swear I had never seen before, a crawl space entrance. I froze. Fingerprints smeared across it. Fresh dust disturbed where someone had moved through. And when I leaned closer, I swear I heard it again. The soft, slow sound of breathing. I stood there for what felt like forever, just staring at the crawl space panel. Part of me wanted to slam it shut, nail it closed, and never think about it again. But another part of me, darker, obsessive, needed to know. Because if someone was living inside my walls, then they'd been here all along. With my hands shaking, I dragged the coats aside and pulled the panel free. The smell hit first, a mixture of damp wood, dust, and something sour. I flicked my phone's flashlight on and shined it inside. The beam stretched into blackness, longer than it should have. It wasn't just a crawl space, it was a tunnel. The wood and drywall gave way to concrete, crude, hand-dug extensions lined with old planks and rusted nails. I swallowed hard, crawling in, every movement echoed, like the walls were alive, listening. And then I saw them, Polaroids, hundreds of them taped along the walls of the tunnel, stretching as far as the light could reach. All of me, eating, showering, sleeping, working, years of my life documented from impossible angles. Some of the photos weren't even recent. They were from my childhood bedroom. How? Who could have? I stumbled deeper, heart hammering in my chest, and then the tunnel split to the left. Darkness, endless, to the right. Something glimmered. I crept toward it, every step crunching on scattered debris, and then I froze, because there, nailed to the wall, Thanki, was a mirror. No, not just a mirror, a one-way window. Through it, I could see my own apartment. The view was from behind the vent above my bed, and then something moved in the reflection, not me, behind me. I froze. The reflection wasn't lying. Someone was standing right behind me. Slowly, painfully, slowly, I turned around. The tunnel was empty. My light caught only rough concrete, broken boards, dust swirling in the air, but in the mirror, the figure remained. Tall, thin, a silhouette of darkness where no one stood. It didn't move like a person. It pulsed. Like static on an old TV, flickering in and out of shape. My breath caught in my throat. I stepped backward, closer to the one-way glass, unable to tear my eyes away. The figure in the reflection tilted its head, and then it smiled. Not a human smile. Too wide. Stretching far beyond what a mouth should allow. My stomach turned. I spun back to check again. The tunnel was still empty. I whipped my light back to the mirror. The reflection was gone, but now the angle had changed. It wasn't showing the vent into my bedroom anymore. It was showing me, standing there, terrified, as though someone else, was holding the camera. I lunged forward, slamming my palm against the glass. It didn't break. The surface was ice cold, like frozen metal. And then a sound crawled through the tunnel. Not from behind me, not from the mirror, from inside the walls themselves. A faint scratching. Fingernails on wood, coming closer and closer and closer. The scratching didn't stop. At first, it was faint, like a mouse gnawing wood somewhere in the walls. But then it grew louder, sharper, like nails being dragged along the inside of the tunnel, and it was moving. I could hear it shift from the left to the right, then right behind me. Every instinct in me screamed to run, but the sound, it wasn't random. It was guiding me. Scrape, scrape, scrape. The noise pulled me further into the tunnel, past broken boards and hanging wires. Each step I took felt heavier, like the air was pressing down on me. I raised my flashlight. The walls looked wrong. The concrete was cracked. But underneath, I could swear I saw wood, like the walls weren't real, like someone had built something else behind them. The scratching stopped suddenly. My chest heaved in the silence. And then, knock. 3 slow knocks coming from inside the wall. My stomach turned cold. I leaned closer, pressing my ear against the concrete. A whisper leaked through, faint, warped, but unmistakable. It was my name, Daniel. I stumbled back, nearly dropping my flashlight. "No," I muttered. "No, no, no." The scratching started again. Faster now, more violent, and the wall began to move. Not crumble, not collapse, breathe. The concrete expanded and contracted as though the tunnel itself had lungs. Something was alive in there, and it wanted out. The wall convulsed. Concrete split with a sickening crack. Dust rained down as the seams tore wider, like flesh being ripped apart. I stumbled backward, choking on the air. It smelled of rot, wet soil, and something metallic. And then I saw it, a hand, but not human. The fingers were too long, thin as broken twigs, nails sharp and black. It clawed its way through the gap, dragging pale flesh behind it. The thing squeezed out of the wall like it had been living inside it. Its body was stretched, skin pulled too tight over bone. Its face, God, its face. It was me, my own face, sunken, eyeless, grinning too wide. I dropped the flashlight. It rolled across the dirt floor, casting wild shadows. The creature slithered fully into the tunnel, hunched, twitching. Its mouth moved, but the words were wrong, like a broken recording. Daniel, Daniel, Daniel. Each repetition cracked into static. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Then it tilted its head, that empty face stretching closer. It whispered, "You shouldn't be here." I bolted. My legs carried me down the tunnel faster than I thought possible. The beam of my flashlight shook wildly ahead of me, but no matter how fast I ran, I could hear it. The scrape of bone, the drag of nails. Right behind me, I reached a bend in the tunnel, turned sharp, and froze. There was no exit, just another wall, another dead end, and behind me, the thing stepped into the light. I stood frozen at the dead end, flashlight trembling in my grip. The creature, my own hollow reflection, was just steps away. But it didn't lunge. It didn't claw. It smiled, and then it spoke again. "Come closer." Its voice was a rasp, layered with static, like my own voice played backward on broken speakers. I shook my head, my throat locked, words refusing to leave. The thing tilted its head just like I did in the mirror when I was unsure. Mocking me, it took a slow step forward. My light caught its eyes, but there were none, just empty sockets. Still, I felt it staring through me. It whispered again, "Don't you remember?" My stomach turned cold, because part of me did remember. Flashes. Dreams I'd buried deep. Dreams of walking through tunnels before, of standing at walls that bled, of seeing myself, always myself, waiting in the dark. Had I been here before? The thing laughed, and the sound was wrong. It was my own laugh, but twisted, slowed, stretched into something inhuman. It pressed one skeletal finger to the wall beside it. The concrete rippled like water. Then, with one jerk, it pulled something out, my phone, the exact one I'd left charging upstairs. It tossed it at my feet. The screen lit up, a new photo of me, not sleeping this time, but standing, right here, in this tunnel, with the thing's hand resting on my shoulder. My heart stopped. The doppelganger tilted its head again, grinning with my mouth. "It's not a photo," it whispered. "It's a memory." I couldn't breathe. The phone on the damp floor glowed, mocking me with its screen. I picked it up with trembling hands, swipe, photo after photo. Not just me in the tunnel. Hundreds of pictures, me brushing my teeth, me cooking, me at my desk, everyday moments captured from behind me, each one, perfectly framed, perfectly timed, as if something had been living in my shadow, watching every second of my life. I scrolled faster, heart hammering, until I froze. The timestamps, they went back in years. Photos of me in apartments I hadn't lived in for a decade. Photos of me in my childhood home. Photos of me sleeping in a crib. No, I whispered. The thing in the tunnel laughed again, the sound rattling my bones. "You've always been watched." I dropped the phone, the screen cracking against the stone floor, but it didn't go dark. Instead, the shattered display flickered, then began playing a video. My throat tightened as I bent down, unable to stop myself from looking. The video showed my room. Last night, I was asleep in bed, but this time the angle was different, closer, much closer. The camera slowly tilted down to show a pale, bony hand resting gently on my chest. Not pressing, not harming, just waiting. The video ended, the phone buzzed, a new file appeared. Live recording, 12:43 a.m. My blood froze. That was right now. I lifted the phone with shaking hands. The live feed opened. It wasn't the tunnel. It wasn't the forest. It was my bedroom. The bed was empty, the sheets torn open and carved into the mattress. One word, home. Behind me, I heard the sound of footsteps, slow, heavy, coming closer. The footsteps grew louder, each one echoed against the stone, heavy and deliberate, as though the tunnel itself carried the sound closer than it should. I clutched the cracked phone, its dim glow barely lighting my trembling hands. "Who's there?" My voice cracked, barely more than a whisper. No answer, just the sound of another step, then another. The figure at the end of the tunnel shifted. Not the pale thing, not the doppelganger. This was different. It was taller, broad-shouldered, but its movement was wrong, unnatural. It swayed with each step, like a marionette dangling from invisible strings. I staggered backward, the cold stone scraping my palms. Then it spoke, but not in a voice I recognized. No, it was dozens of voices, layered. Children laughing, men screaming, women crying, all spilling out of its mouth in perfect unison. "You've been here before." My heart lurched. The phone buzzed again in my hand. I glanced down. A new video had appeared. Not a recording this time, a live feed. It showed the tunnel. This tunnel, from above, and there I was. A tiny glowing figure on the screen, holding the phone, staring into the darkness. But there was something else in the video. A hand, huge, pale, reaching down from the top of the frame. Toward me, I screamed, dropping the phone. The echo of my voice bounced through the tunnel and was answered by the sound of dozens of other screams, all overlapping, all mimicking me. The figure kept walking closer, 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 until I could finally see its face. It wasn't a stranger. It was me, but my skin was gone, only raw muscle and tendons stretched across bone, glistening under the faint light and where my eyes should have been. Two black, endless holes stared back. It stood inches away from me. The skinless version of myself breathing heavily, chest rising and falling with a grotesque wet sound. The smell of raw flesh filled the tunnel, sharp and metallic, like rust and blood mixed together, its hollow eyes fixed on mine. And then it smiled. But it wasn't a human smile. The lips, what was left of them, pulled back too far, exposing rows of teeth that weren't mine. They were jagged, crooked, too many for one mouth. I couldn't move. My body refused. The phone on the ground lit up again, vibrating violently as though possessed. On the screen, words began to type themselves out. "Let it in!" The creature raised its hand, my hand, or rather, a ruined reflection of it. The tendons twitched, fingers curling unnaturally as it reached toward me. "No," I whispered, pressing back into the cold stone wall, but there was nowhere to go. When its hand touched my chest, a chill spread through me. Freezing every vein, every nerve, I gasped for air, but my lungs wouldn't obey. Suddenly, flashes filled my vision. I saw myself as a child, sleeping in bed, a shadow standing in the corner. I saw myself at 16, walking home at night, footsteps following but never catching up. I saw myself last week, scrolling through my phone, the camera flashing without me pressing anything, and then I saw myself dead, lying in this tunnel, my skin gone. The creature leaned closer, its mouth by my ear. In a voice that was both mine and not mine, it whispered, "I've always been here." The tunnel lights flickered, then went black. The darkness swallowed everything. No tunnel, no creature, no sound, just silence. And then, click, the sharp sound of a camera shutter echoed through the void, followed by another and another. Flashes of white light blinded me, strobing like lightning. Each time the light came, I saw myself, standing across from me, not the skinless version anymore. No, it was me. Same face, same clothes, same terrified expression. But he was smiling. Each flash made his smile wider, his eyes sharper, his posture straighter, until finally, in the last blinding flash, he was holding my phone, and I was empty-handed. I looked down. My fingers were twitching, raw, bloody, my skin was gone. The realization struck like ice water poured over my skull. I wasn't me anymore. The creature hadn't killed me. It had taken me. Now I was the thing in the dark, skinless, voiceless, trapped in the shadows, and the version of me, the smiling one, walked toward the tunnel's exit, my phone in his pocket, my clothes on his body, my life on his face. He turned back one last time, meeting my gaze, and whispered, "Sleep tight." Then the light vanished, and I knew I would never wake up again.